Hi, everybody.
Hi,
I'd
honey.
lo-
How are you?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. We give people a few minutes to make sure they're signed on.
I think
I
everybody
mean,
is
is it?
on.
Well, just so you know, I'm sitting here in your office, and your phone has been ringing nonstop. And you know what? I just decline these calls, so I don't think that's really good for business. If this is what happens when you put me in your office and doing a live stream book signing, which I've never done before.
I
So
love
here I
that.
am.
This is so
Here I
exciting
am
to do a
killing
live
business
stream.
one call at a time.
Don't worry about it. The phone rings in my office there at home, and it also rings at my office in Beverly Hills where Jane answers. So it's all good. You don't have to worry about it. You can
And
decline them
on your
all.
cell too, I assume. It's just
It
all
does
over.
not ring on my cell as
And
well.
every one of your computer things is popping off in here too. So, and you guys are all having a beautiful day wherever you're all at. What's the weather like in New York, Mo?
It is a beautiful day. I'm currently sitting in our Hoboken office in New Jersey, and it's an absolutely beautiful day. It's sunny. It's 70 degrees out here, and it's just been great 2 days on the East Coast. And after this, honey, I'm going to be going to a local bookstore to sign some books live. But right now, we're doing the virtual signing, and I am so excited to sign for everybody. I've already started here. I'm signing as we speak. And I'm excited to get this thing
Nice.
going.
Nice. Now, can we see the everyone's on here? Because I've guys, be patient with me. I've never done this, so we can. Everyone's on here, right?
Everyone is
Okay.
on, yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So, honey, you have a
Okay.
whole bunch
Good.
of
Okay.
questions. Honey, did you get a
So
chance to read my book yet?
I read most of it when you were writing it. Remember, before it
Yeah.
went to print. So since it went to print, I haven't seen the whole book put together now. So
Well, we got to get you
I
reading it.
will.
Let's get
Well, I know
get
I
you on it.
will. So, are you going to talk a little bit about why you wrote the book and all that, and then I can get to some questions that were I have. You have questions for me, or I just have questions for you?
You just have questions for me. I don't have any
Oh, I
questions
thought
for
you just
you.
said I have questions. Yeah. So, do you want to start a little bit about why you wrote this book? That's my question.
Yeah, well, I wrote this book because it was the right timing, and I feel like I had a lot to share. One of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to share with people, and I've been asked, particularly, being the CEO of the agency and running an organization right now with approximately 2,000 agents, with 85 offices around the
I have to
globe right now.
refresh. Sorry.
um, with 85 offices around the globe right now, everybody has always asked me for advice and things that I'm doing and all of that stuff. And I really wanted to create a book that
I'm
through,
frozen. I'm having an issue. So hold on 1 minute here.
I think that's just you with your Wi-Fi, but I think everybody else can hear me. Are you guys on? No.
Yeah, it's looking like you're
I'm good. Yeah.
You're frozen.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not frozen, but while Kyle gets back on and she's struggling over there in Los Angeles, I will let you all know that I wrote this book because I wanted to share my experiences, and I wanted you all to learn something and get some insight on your own through my experiences. I've learned a lot of life lessons in my life. And what I do is I basically tell the story of multiple stories that happened to me with multiple different people, some really interesting people, Kyle, my wife, my grandfather, my mother, my father, a bunch of different people that have touched me. And through those stories, I learned something. And that's really what I'm talking about. This is not a how-to book. It's not 5 steps to success. It's not 10 steps to being the best salesperson on the planet. It's really about being able to self-analyze, learn something about yourself, analyze yourself, and then create an insight, and ultimately, hopefully, become a better husband, a better wife, a better boss, a better salesperson, anything like that. And so the inspiration was really just to give back. And I've learned so many different things in my life that I just wanted to give back and share a lot of the experiences and lessons that I've learned myself.
Did you know I lost you for 1 second, just by the way?
We did. We totally knew that
Okay.
you lost,
Okay.
but
So,
I was still live, and so I was able to continue to speak to the everybody listening while you were gone and re coming back on. So yeah.
well, I'm going to pick up with this question. How did you start out in the business, and what were the early days like? Shannon from Illinois is asking.
Well, honey, I tell the story in my book about how I used to work in the fashion business. I left the fashion business. I took a job in the fashion business, and Kyle and I were recently married, and we had 2 kids, and it was Christmas, and I got fired. And I got fired from my job, and I drove around town. I didn't want to come home. I didn't want to face Kyle. I didn't, we were living paycheck to paycheck. We didn't have much in savings, and I drove around town, and I remember coming home that day and finally coming home, and I opened the door, and I didn't even need to tell Kyle what happened. She automatically knew that what had happened, like just in my face. And she was so supportive of me. She could have easily have said something like, how can you do this to the family? How are we going to take care of ourselves? How are we going to put food on the table? But Kyle did none of that. On the contrary, she was super supportive. She said, "Don't worry, honey. We're going to get through this. This is an opportunity. You've been wanting to get into real estate. Let's go get our real estate licenses together. Let's make it a date night." And the amount of support that she gave me was just absolutely extraordinary. That you gave me, honey, was absolutely extraordinary, and I felt so
I was
loved
gonna.
and so supported. And that's kind of the way it started, and that's how it happened. I mean, I'm sure you remember that day pretty well, right, honey?
Yeah, I do remember that day very well. I was gonna say, when you're talking about her and she, I was gonna say she sounds like really amazing. Whoa, yes, that's really lucky. Lucky you. Yes, I remember that day very well, and it was obviously a scary time when you have 2 little kids, and you feel very vulnerable. And but you know what? We went once a week to our real estate classes in Santa Monica College, and we both got our real estate license actually. And yeah, that's where it all started there. And your very first client, do you remember that?
Was your ex-husband, Farah's dad. I actually tell that story in the book as well. And I talk about that story, and I talk about the support that he gave us, and the importance of having family stick together. I go through all of that stuff in my book. All of those stories are in there.
Next question. Okay, we're literally here like the Three Stooges over here. I've got my friend Jen here helping me trying to manage this stuff over here. Okay. What disciplines do you have in your life that help you stand out and succeed? Asks Tom from Michigan.
I think that the disciplines that I have are I'm probably the hardest worker on the planet. I'm certainly the hardest worker at the agency. I don't know about on the planet, but I can tell you that for 11 years, I was the first one in the office and the last one to leave the office. And as soon as I left the office, I would go home, I would eat dinner, and as soon as we all finished eating dinner, I'd go back to work again at home. So I'm a really competitive guy. Failure is not an option. I believe that people are driven by many different things, by fear, the fear of putting food on their table, the fear of not having a home over their heads. Others are driven by being just a super competitive person, needing to win, needing to succeed, needing to be the best. A lot of athletes are very competitive people, and that's where they get their drive from. There are a lot of people that are driven, that are successful due to greed. Greed is one of the negative traits that makes you, want to be successful. So I believe there's positive traits and negative traits that make you a successful person. Over the course of the years, I try to work out every single morning. I try to meditate as much as possible. I learned meditation late in my life, more recently than before, but it's become a very important part of my life. And the affirmations also have become a very important part of my life. Before, when I was younger, I could almost do these meditations and these affirmations naturally. Now I have to work for them a little bit more, and I actually have to, set myself up to, to make them happen. Another trait that that I talk about in my book is I was born with it because of circumstances, but it has to do with being able to read the room. I call it reading the room, analyzing people, listening. More salespeople in the world need to prove themselves. And so by proving themselves and by proving their worth and by proving how knowledgeable they are, all they do is talk, and they don't listen. The ability to listen, the ability to take a moment backwards, and the ability to read a room is going to make you the best matchmaker on the planet, which ultimately is what sales is. It's all matchmaking people. In fashion, you walk into a store, it's matchmaking you to the right color, to the right dress, to the right pair of pants. I want to be clear that I do wear the pants in our family. My wife just happens to pick the color, the shape, and the size.
Once again, she sounds like a winner. Also, I think a big part of your success is you have always been very positive, and you talk a lot about certainty and never having any doubt. So even when, we didn't have anything, you were always very positive about, being successful and certain that it would happen. And I mean, you would, go someplace and buy the most expensive bottle of wine, and I would be having a heart attack. And you'd be like, no, it's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. And, I was always like, oh my gosh, what if we're homeless, but we'll be okay. You're like, you can't think like that. You can't think like that. So you've always been very positive, and I think that's a really big part of being successful, is just putting that out there into the universe, and never deterring from, your dream, not taking your eyes off the ball.
Well, being optimistic was definitely something that has just been part of my nature, for sure.
That is definitely part of your nature, no doubt. Okay, so let's see. So your disciplines. Okay, I like that question a lot, actually. What advice would you give to someone who wants to get to the top of their field?
Find a field that you're passionate about. Have a tremendous amount of passion. Don't have fear. Fear gets in the way. Fear is really what we're talking about in terms of that certainty versus doubt concept that Kyle's talking about, that I talk about all the time. Another thing that I talk about all the time in my life and in my house is efficiency. If you ask my kids, my favorite word in the world, it's efficient, being efficient. And that means, being efficient in everything that you do in terms of your time, your work product, what you're delivering on, all of that stuff, is super important. But most important, be the most knowledgeable person in your field that exists. In real estate, what does that mean? That means knowing tax rolls. That means knowing, what side of the street's the better side of the street. Where does the sun set? Where does the sun rise? Know every single thing about that contract, in real estate, in any contract, in anything. But, I'm probably one of those guys that memorize the contract, and I can tell you what 14B1 says, and I can tell you what 25C2 says in a nanosecond. And, having that knowledge, having the ability to speak to all of those things, and understand your product, whatever it is that you're selling, making, building, creating, is a critical part of, being a successful human being.
Very good. I like that.
Thank you. I'm glad you approve.
Yeah. Also, I think that you are also very much a people person and very outgoing, and like to socialize and get out there. And you've made a point to, always, make an effort. Like, if these people are going to be good clients, you need to make an effort to be there. Or if you think these are the right people that you need to meet to, get this deal done. Like, you're always putting yourself out there, to put yourself in the right scenarios that will get you, either the deal closed or where you need to be next. And I think that, that's something that our daughters are learning from you too, because, me, I'm the complete opposite. Or I would be hiding to the contrary to popular belief. I would be the person not doing that. What Mo is very much that person, always, what is the word I want to use? I don't know. Like you'll come out of a restaurant and be exchanging phone numbers with a valet parker. You know, you go into a party, you're coming out exchanging more numbers. You're always like, I mean, you literally were helping the valet parker buy his first house. Remember that?
I do
Valet
remember
parker.
that.
Yeah.
I actually tell that story in my book as well, where I talk about.
Oh,
I remember one time, you know, treating everybody the same, but a valet parker gave me a referral, and I remember bringing a check to the valet parker. He didn't even realize that he got me a referral. He didn't even realize that he was due a referral fee. I think it was the happiest day of his life. It's just all about treating everybody the same. I was asked today, you know, if it's different to take care of a celebrity than it is, you know, what's the differences in the nuances when I'm selling a house to a celebrity? And, you know, my response was that there is no difference. These are all just people. They're the same as everybody else. You know, so super important. You're frozen, but Kathy Brown is asking, how do I balance work, life, and family while you get unfrozen and you come back on? I'm going to take that one on. Balance is I got, and she also got a referral from a Sephora lady once. That's awesome. I talk about balance in my book a lot. It's something that my grandfather taught me when I was super young. When I was really young, my grandfather always used to tell me stories about how there's 24 hours in a day. There's 8 hours for sleep, which is a must, 8 hours for work, and 8 hours for play. The play is the portion that is, you know, you separate it into, what does that mean? That means family. That means, you know, lunches, golf, sports, gym, you know, whatever that playtime is, right? It's other than sleeping and work. Okay. If you happen to be, you know, a kid from, you know, a trust fund kid, then you don't have to work so hard and you can borrow hours from work. But most of us don't have that luxury, and we need to work hard. And in my case, I worked even harder than the 8 hours. You know, I was working 8 to 10, 12 hours a day. And so therefore you have to look at those last 8 hours of balance in terms of what sacrifices are you willing to make. And I can tell you that one of the sacrifices that I made, you know, as I was growing and doing all of this is, number one, is I wasn't able to be my daughter's AYSO coach. I would have loved to have done that. I had to sit open houses every Saturday and every Sunday in order to make, you know, things work. Number two, my friends, you know, they were all going to lunches on Friday. They were doing all kinds of different things. I didn't have that luxury. I was at work. And so, but I chose to give that up versus giving up my family. Being a father, a husband, I was always home. We were always together. Kyle and I really don't have, you know, guys tricks and girls trips. You know, we're very much of an all in and on everything. And that's how we balance life. But balancing work, balancing all of that stuff is probably the most important thing in my book, and that I talk about is balancing your life. It's critical.
yeah, you definitely on the weekends always were at work, and I was not a good I don't even know the letter. What was it? AYSO?
AYSO coach? No, you were not.
I almost said ASYO.
You were not a good A coach. No.
I can remember like thinking I had to do that and going and like packing up all the kids, whatever, and I think I ended up crying because I had to park so far away, and I had the stroller and the bag and the stuff, and I was like, "This is not my jam." I mean, if you can't do this, I don't think I can do it. I can do a lot of things,
you were
but that was
good
not
at
good
taking
at
them shopping and taking them to get their nails done and all that stuff, though.
No, I've done a lot of other good, important
Thank
things
God we
too, but
have
I'm not a good sports coach.
all girls.
Yeah, but girls play sports too.
I
Okay,
know.
so what is the favorite part of fatherhood? That's from Catherine in Nevada. Oh, here. I'm sorry, we are not taking any calls right now. Thank you.
my my favorite part of fatherhood is being a father, and watching your kids grow and watching them, you know, like just enjoying every minute of it. You know, I think one of the things that I do really well is I live on the moment, and I enjoy that moment. I'm not necessarily looking forward I'm not watching my kids and saying, oh, I can't wait for them to be 2 years old, or I can't wait for them to be 12, or I can't wait for them to be like 15, 16, right? Like, I'm definitely a guy that lives the moment and enjoys what's happening right there on the moment. Like that first walk, the first, thumb suck, the first time, I mean, what do I love the most? I mean, I love it when my kids and being a father, just the kisses, the love. I get so much love and so much kisses from my kids. I can't even tell you guys. I mean, our kids, we definitely had the family bed. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to say how many years each one of those kids slept in our bed.
Yeah,
Of
remember
course,
when you wanted to get the bed that Eddie Murphy had, the one that was double the size so that everybody could sleep there?
yeah. And then you're like, no, 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 we don't have that size bed in our house.
Well, we almost got the Eddie Murphy bed. That's why I never thought about that. There's like a Murphy bed and there's an Eddie Murphy bed. I bet you don't know what it. Okay. Okay. So the majority, Eric from New York is asking, the majority of people are okay with being mediocre in their career and in life in general. What have you learned about the role of friends and the people around you and how it helps or harms you when you're trying to reach goals and succeed?
um, Ask me that question again.
The majority of people are okay with being mediocre in their career
Yeah.
and in life in general. So what have you learned about the role of friends and the people around you play and how it helps you succeed and reach your goals?
So important, but for me it's been more than friends. Honestly, it's been the people that I surround myself with at home, the support staff that I have in Kyle. You've been so supportive over the years and so amazing, but also it's the support staff and the people that I've surrounded with myself at work. My partner Billy Rose could not be more different than me, yet we're so much the same, and he's probably one of the best people that I could think of in terms of the yin and the yang, and really understanding each other. Like, I don't look to surround myself with people that think like me and that are like me. I look at surrounding myself around people that are different than me and that have, their own thoughts. Like, there's a gentleman that runs our new development division. His name is Mike Leapart. He's also in my book. Greatest mind. I love his mind. He's a guy that thinks really different than most people, really different than me, really different than most people. And I love having him around me because I love hearing the advice and what he has to say. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everything he has to say. That doesn't mean I'm going to do everything he has to say, but I like to hear that. I remember one time he came into my office, and I tell this story in my book. He came into my office. We were 3 or 4 years into the business, and he walked in and he said to me, I asked him, what he thought about something, and he said, well, what you want to hear is blah blah blah. And I stopped him and I said, Mike, if you ever tell me what you think I want to hear, our relationship is over. The reason I love you and the reason I surround myself with you is because I'm interested in what you have to say, what your thought is, not what you think I want to hear. I know what I want to hear. I already know what I want. So it's about surrounding yourself with people that you trust their advice, that you want to hear what they have to say. It's not about surrounding yourself with people that think like you, that are going to tell you, stuff that you just like to hear, that are the same. That is not the recipe for success. You need to surround yourself with people that are supportive of you, have great minds, and are willing to speak their minds and are willing to make mistakes. You, as the leader, then have to figure out what you listen to, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and what actions you decide to take. The leader of your own life, the leader of your own success, the leader of your own career, any of those things. And that's what you have to do in order to create a support staff around you that helps you.
I always say that about even my friends. Like, I like to surround myself with people that I can learn from and that inspire me, and they can learn from me and I inspire them. The same thing in business, but just in life. That's how I look at it. Believe it or not, I know I'm on a show that you wouldn't think that, but in my personal life, I surround myself with people that, inspire me as well.
We have
and that
to.
I can learn and grow from. Um, the majority, how did you and Kyle meet? Love at first sight.
Was it love at first sight, honey?
Well, there's a discrepancy in how we met.
How is there a discrepancy?
You
I know how
said
I met you.
you saw me at the gym. You saw me at the gym, and you thought I was Demi Moore's sister. Is that correct?
That is correct. And then
And
I really met you at the nightclub, right at Bar One.
yeah, and then you said I had met you, and then I met you again, and you said you hadn't remembered me from the first time, but I really don't believe that still.
I mean, you know.
I think that was a flat out lie that you just gave.
You're
So
like,
then
it's impossible not to remember.
then the answer would be no, it wasn't love at first sight because you didn't remember me at the first night. Remember we talked that whole night. So
Well,
we
but
met, but we
once I met you and I remembered you, then it was love at first sight.
oh, okay, so it was delayed.
It's delayed
So,
love.
but both was at the same place. So we met at a nightclub called Bar One. I'm answering your question now. Sorry. We met at a nightclub called Bar One that is now called Bootsy Bellows, that still exists in LA. And yeah, you do tell the story in the book there. So
I did
I
tell the
just
story.
remembered something about there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was pretty funny because yeah, he did think I was Demi Moore's sister, and he figured if he couldn't get Demi Moore, then maybe he could get me. The ugly
You said
stepsister,
it.
I don't
The
know.
ugly stepsister or the hot stepsister. I don't know. I mean, you know, I think you're pretty
No.
hot. So
um that's pretty funny. Okay, when you were young, did you ever dream you would become who you are today?
that is a great question. And the answer is no, not even close. My life path has changed multiple times. When I was young, I wanted to be a professional athlete. That was like my dream without question, in whatever, you know, capacity that meant. I grew up, I was a very athletic person. I was always at the top of the food chain at every school that I went to. But I clearly wasn't good enough to be a professional athlete on any of these things. And
Well, I also don't think your parents were steering you in that direction, to be fair.
They were definitely not steering me. I think that if they would have, maybe I would have made it, but you know, it was not the right thing to do or the cool thing to do, right? So I was definitely not allowed to do that. Although they did support me in my skiing career, as far as yeah, you know, we got it, and which was pretty cool, and all of that fun stuff. So that was kind of super supportive of them, which I love. Then I wanted to be a sports agent. I wanted to be Jerry Maguire. I thought that would be kind of cool, but that didn't, you know, work out very
That was
good.
a short phase. That was a
It's
very short-lived phase, right?
short-lived phase. But I had a good friend of mine that I went to high school with that is one of the smartest guys that I knew at the time, and he's still an amazing guy. A guy named Ricardo Hinich from Mexico, and he once grabbed me and told me, you know, as I didn't graduate from high school, and I was going into college. And I hadn't graduated. I graduated, but in summer school, guys, just to be clear. But then I was going into college, and he grabbed me and he said to me, Mauricio, you have a skill that you should never let go of. You're a super charismatic person. You know how to sell anything. You know how to sell everything, and you should really make sure that you pursue your life in sales. And it was such an important thing that somebody said to me, and he said that to me years and years ago, and that's when I decided that I needed to be in sales and whatever that meant, and that's how I got into textiles and selling clothing, and now ultimately in real estate. But I understood that it became my passion. I loved sales. I knew how to read people, and sales is it's just where I belong, and that's why I continue to sell today, even you know, today where I'm the CEO and running 85 offices, and you know, growing and expanding and trying to do the best. I need that adrenaline. I need to be in sales. It's what keeps me in the deal. It's what keeps me being a deal maker, and it keeps me close and tight to everything that we're doing.
I think that's also a big part of the athlete mentality too.
The
You
competitive
know,
nature, for sure.
yeah, yeah, and yes, for sure. And also goes to speak to your being, you know, such a people person. I did not know that about Ricardo Hinich, by the way.
Well, there you
Um,
go.
yeah, that what was that in your book?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we okay. What's your favorite thing about being CEO and founder of the agency?
Kyle knows this, but I wake up. By the way, guys, just so you know, I'm signing away. I wake up I come home every day, and Kyle would ask me. She goes, "How was your day?" And I would always say, "Amazing." And I remember one time, honey, you came and you said to me, "How is it that every damn day can be amazing for you? It like doesn't make any sense, right?" Like, do you remember that?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I still don't understand that. I don't have that. So I'm always kind of fascinated by that.
And the reason it's amazing is because I just love what I do. I love surrounding myself around the people that I surround myself with, watching everybody, battle, fight, do better. It brings me energy. I cannot tell you how much energy I get from the people that I'm surrounded with, our salespeople, our staff. When I see what they do and when I see what they do for the company, what they do for us, and how much passion they all have, I get re-energized. And I there's nothing that I like more than doing that. I love growing the company. I love having a vision and then executing on the vision. I can tell you that part of our business plan was to be a global company. It didn't happen by accident. It happened, on purpose. It was manifested. It was planned. And it was executed. And I just love that challenge. And you wake up every day, and there are challenges. It's not rosy, but I thrive on those challenges. I thrive on the problems, and I enjoy attacking them and conquering them and fixing them.
Yep. Well, that you get a high on the chase of the deal and getting it done and closed. That's for sure.
I definitely do.
I remember I took Portia, who's so much like you, to an audition when she was wanting to act, and she did a great job. She got a call back, and I said, "How was it?" She said, "It was amazing." When she came out of the room, and I was like quaking in my boots. And then she got a call back, and she went back in, and the next day I was again like, I mean, I acted like if she didn't get this job, I was not gonna be able to put food on the table. I don't know why. It's like the child actor mentality. And she came out from the callback, and I said, "How was it?" She said, "Even better than the first time." And I was like, wow, she was really like her dad. Really like her dad. Okay. What is your favorite thing to do in your free time?
My favorite thing
Hold
to
on.
do.
1 minute, please. 1 minute, please. Thank you for calling the agency. May I help you? We're all booked up. Sorry. They hung up on me. They didn't take me seriously. Okay. What is your favorite thing to do in your free time?
Two things: golf and ski. I'm going to add a third thing, because as I've gotten older, it's walking my dog in Aspen and going on hikes, taking Storm. Those are the three.
Pickleball.
Pickleball as well. All of these things, but I can't. I mean, I'm not going to make 5, 6, 7, 8 things. It's what is my favorite thing? I'm gonna keep it to 3, but all of those things I just
That
love.
was from Rosario in New Mexico, by the way. So the question about being a CEO and founder of the agency, what's your favorite part? That was from Margaret in Florida. Sorry, I don't want to keep forgetting these things. Okay. Grant from Minnesota is asking, what's been the biggest highlight or pinch me moment in your career?
Oh my God, that's a great question. And there's been so many, Grant. And I tell so many of these stories. One of the fun things about the book is that I have some really fun stories to tell with some really interesting people. But Kyle grew up with Michael Jackson as a friend. He was a friend of the family's. I think you told me one time he taught you how to moonwalk. Is that correct, honey? Am I saying that right?
The robot. The robot.
The robot. Got it. Yeah. I can't. Let's not confuse that. But I used to show him houses, and every once in a while he would just start singing a cappella, particularly as we would walk through a particular area, and all of a sudden he heard good sound acoustics, and all of a sudden he would just start singing, and that was so angelic and so beautiful. I tell a story in the book about I sold the house that he died in. And I do believe that his spirit was in that house for quite some time after he died. I believe that we saw it. I think that's, something really cool. Some of my pinch me moments, I mean, selling the Playboy Mansion, without question, to me, that's like the White House. I mean, that's just such an, iconic home, like such an incredible place. I had an opportunity to have lunch at the Playboy Mansion, before Hugh Hefner died. Was an absolutely extraordinary experience. I met Michael Jordan playing golf, and I got the opportunity to list his property. So some of the most incredible people on the planet, I've had the opportunity to sell and to work with. Lady Gaga, I met her through my wife Kyle, and through the Housewives. We had a really amazing moment with her backstage after a concert, and ended up selling her a house. I tell that story in my book. And so and these are all kind of like the fun moments. There's the moments that we talked about. We started this conversation today, getting fired and not having money, that failure. Those mistakes, those failures make you stronger than the successes that you have. When you can work through that, you actually end up being way more successful, way stronger than some of the just the great moments that you have. But it's all these stories that are in memoirs that are in my book. It's really easy to read. Each chapter ends with a mantra, and again, it's really meant to just talk about my experiences and the life lessons that I've learned, and hopefully touch each and every one of you yourself through those lessons, and have you learn something about yourself and make your life a better life.
What I liked about in reading this book, that it feels like in addition to like these stories that you share, the good moments and the bad moments, and what led you to this point, is that it feels like an easy handbook, and for people starting out in this business too.
Yeah.
I just gave the book to someone who's just starting out in real estate, and I said this really is like an easy handbook guide to how to, all that. So yes, okay. Now I'm going to go on to something else here. Ethan from California: advice on investing for someone who is a beginner and just starting out.
Learn, knowledge, passion. That knowledge, you have time right now on your hands. So the reality is that you have all the time in the world to become the most knowledgeable person. And the beautiful thing about life today is that everything's at your fingertips on this computer that you're watching me on right now. You can Google and you can understand tax rolls, price histories. What did the house sell at? What is it going to sell at later? Not later, but what did it sell at? How many times did it sell? How many times does it pass through somebody? Learn stories about in your area. That have occurred. Sell through storytelling. Learn the history of homes. Learn the history of where they've been. Have they been moved? There's some historical properties all over the world. Be able to tell stories so that when you have somebody in the car, they know that you're the most knowledgeable person out there. I talked about it. Understand your contracts. If you're in real estate and getting going in real estate, understand your contract, but not only understand it, like recite it, memorize it. Like, you've got the time in the world right now to educate yourself and take it and educate yourself. That education is priceless, particularly as you start gaining more and more experience. Obviously, you need to create lead generation. That's done through a lot of different things: sphere of influence, open houses, all kinds of different things like that. But the first step is knowledge. And the more knowledge you have, the rest of the stuff just kind of starts falling into place.
What about the investment part of that question?
What was the investment question part?
He said somebody starting out investing. Also,
so yeah. You're an investor. You're investing in multifamily and spec homes and all of that stuff. Take it easy. Take some risks. Take calculated risks. Right now is probably a good time to start looking at some properties. There's going to be some opportunities occur right now because we're in a housing recession. So I think there's some really good buying opportunities. Be patient on your buy. Your deal, you're going to make money on your buy, not on your sell. And so make sure that you buy right, and whatever that means, right? Buy something that you love, buy something you're passionate about. Analyze the numbers, analyze the prices, take some risks, but take calculated risks.
Something I would chime in on this about is that we've always made money in real estate, and the real estate that we have bought together. And yep. Obviously our first home was not a ton of money, but we made money in each home. But you had always told me while we made money on those homes, we would have made a lot more money if we had bought in a certain area at the time. But I was very much focused on where I wanted to be for the kids and the school. And something that felt like safe and sentimental to me because I'm like to be in my little bubble. So really looking at that too, what the most hot, up and coming areas are too that you can afford that are in your price range, right?
I agree with that 100%.
Yes, because I would hear stories
Well,
about, see, they bought that house and they made this many millions, and you made buy this one, and we only made this much millions. But
well,
like,
that goes back
this
to
many.
buying. You and I bought lifestyle, and we took care of our life before we took care of the investment, right? And so, what I was always saying to you is that we were
Still
not
never
buying.
lost.
We never lost. We always made a lot of money, but we could have certainly have made more had we looked at investment first versus lifestyle first. And my wife and I always looked at lifestyle first. Yeah.
I don't know if I read this question yet. I don't remember if I did or not. What's a hard lesson you learned early on that has helped you in your career? Did I read that to you yet? That's from
No.
Carrie in Arizona.
No, that goes together, I think, with this question that I'm reading from Wesley Ryan Powell. What failure have you had where you learned the most and actually helped take your career to the next level? Oh man, those failures and those obstacles and all of that stuff. That's where you learn the most about anything. I mean,
did you tell the Kelsey Grammer story in your book?
oh, that's a great story. Thank you so much. I will tell that story now. And yes, I do tell that story.
Well, I don't know if you're supposed to tell all of it. Okay.
I do tell that story, and that is a great story. And you heard the message, the machine. But I was in escrow on, and this is turning a failure. The book's all about obstacles, doors that close, and how do you take advantage of a closed door and then go open another door, right? Like, and not allow an obstacle to end something. So I was in escrow under contract on a property representing a buyer that was buying a property from Kelsey and Camille Grammer. In the book, I do not name them by name. We were it was the third transaction that I was doing with them. On the opposite side, I had never represented them. I was always on the opposite side. And I had a client that we were buying a property, and the property was approximately $17 million. It was owned by Kelsey and Camille. And we were buying the massage table, the desk, a chair, some personal items, which I always tell my clients not to get into the personal items because that just always becomes a headache. So anyway, Kelsey decided that he wasn't going to leave those personal items. We did the final walkthrough. My client, to cut a long story short, you're going to have to read the book to get the longer version. My client said, he's going to cancel the contract and cancel the escrow. They thought we were kidding around. We ultimately ended up canceling the contract. Cut to, I'm on the golf course on the 9th hole, and I receive a message, and I see a long message. It's a 4 or 5 minute voicemail. And I play it while on the golf course, and it goes something like this: Mauricio, Kelsey Grammer here. He goes, you are the lowest human being on the planet. You are lower than shit. You are lower than nope. What is lower than vermin? What is lower than scum? Honey heard the message. Kyle heard this message. It went on and on and on.
This was before Camille was on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills too.
Yep.
For those of you who know that part, okay.
Yep. And I was like, holy shit. This is a really bad message. I picked up the phone. By the way, guys, I now had his phone number. It was on my machine.
Because he wasn't the client. Mo represented the other person.
Exactly. So what did I do?
It was not his client.
I picked up the phone. I called. I said, I need to explain. I need to come over. I got myself off the golf course. I did a quick shower, a quick change, and I got myself to their house. I sat in their house in Beverly Park. Kelsey and Camille screamed at me for about an hour. Once they got tired of screaming, I finally talked about, my position, my client's position, and what we did. Came out of that thing where Kelsey said to me, and he goes, oh, and by the way, this piece of shit house you sold me here in Beverly Park, we hate it. Nothing works in it. I said, well, I've got clients that, would love to buy it and I could sell it. And I walked out of that meeting after being the lowest scum of the earth. I walked out of there with a listing on his house in Beverly Park, and I sold it, 5 weeks later for $24 million to my own client. And I think that's a failure, a lesson, an obstacle, all in once. That's a story with a success at the end of it, all within minutes. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. It goes a lot deeper in the book.
But you said that it sounded like you said the house that you sold us. You sold Kelsey and Camille that house?
I sold them that house. I represented the developer.
The seller.
Yes.
You represented the developer. They bought it. They still weren't your client. And then the second
Correct.
property also. So you had transactions with them twice now, but they were never your client. Then they were your client by the third.
It was the third transaction. Yeah, then they became my client, and then I ended up, introducing Camille to you. She got on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I sold another property, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. Okay. Did you read this question when my stream cut out about what is the gold nugget that you want your readers to find, from Lucas in Indiana?
So great question, Lucas. There is not one gold nugget that I want my readers to find. What I want, and my goal, is for my readers to have insights through my stories, for one of those stories to mean something to you, and for you to have your own insight, your own life lesson. I'm hoping that through my stories, you can ultimately get your own lessons and your own insights and your self-analysis. That's what I pray that everybody gets out of this.
Okay. So are you getting more questions too? You have, I don't know how this works. You're getting questions as well, right?
Yeah, I'm just seeing a couple of questions up here. A lot of just, some love.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Why don't you read the next questions? I think I've gone through my questions here. Are you signing away for everybody there?
I'm signing away little by little. By the way, I saw today the book was #1 in its category on Amazon today, so that's super exciting. I really hope that you enjoy the book, that you read the book, yeah. I guess somebody here is making fun of the way I hold my tongue. Sorry.
Welcome to. You know what? It wouldn't be a whole live stream without something like that.
I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. Congratulations on Mallorca.
Only one comment like that. It was pretty lucky.
But yeah, we're reaching the top of the hour. It's now, and I just want to say thank you all for this. I can't wait to send you a signed copy. And I hope you get something out of our book. And honey, that was a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever been. This is the first time you've ever interviewed me on something live.
Have you ever interviewed me?
I think I feel like I have.
I think just in life, maybe you ask me questions, but not in an interview.
Well, either way, this is the first time, and it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. I miss you. I love that you're in my office, and that we're here in Hoboken, New Jersey.
I think I did a book signing over there too. I wonder if it's the same place.
I think I'm going to do it at the same place, and apparently Melissa Gorga is going to be right next door to her retail shop.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully Melissa and Joe are going to come by and say hello. They told me that they might, and I'll be there shortly.
Okay, well, send them my love.
Sophie lives in Mallorca.
Everybody, someone's asking.
Sorry. Are you happy with your global expansion? I live in Mallorca and I'm an agent, and so happy we are on the map in the US. We are so happy to be in Mallorca. I cannot wait to visit you guys. I was just in Portugal last week. I'm looking forward to coming to Mallorca maybe this summer, and we're thrilled with our global expansion. It looks like we lost Kyle in perfect timing. It's now at the top of the hour. I want to thank all of you for tuning in, spending the hour with me, and for allowing us to enter your living rooms. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
Hey, this is John Acuff, New York Times best-selling author of 7 books and someone who's done a live signing. If you like the one you just watched, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's full of amazing authors having great conversations and signing books for viewers just like you. So make sure you subscribe, and thank